Sir, who are you?
Hello, my name is Asif. You can
Yes.
call me Hakim Asif.
How can I help you, sir? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian?
No, I'm ex-Muslim. I was ringing because, you know, there is some things that a lot of the Christians are missing. And that is, you are looking at the narrative of the holes in the Quran. But, all the translations of the Quran are false. Have you ever looked at that? Not a single translation of the Quran is truthful. I think that is a bigger scandal than these holes in the narrative business, because if you don't have a faithful translation of the Quran and you go to somebody like Muhammad Hijab, he's going to say, oh, you don't speak Arabic. So it doesn't say this, it says this. So they can always play this game with you. And I see that week in, week out at Speaker's Corner. So I would suggest that, like Christian Prince, he's an Arabic speaker and he smashes these people. He says, look, you can't play these silly games with me because I'm an Arabic speaker and I know exactly what it says, and all of these translations are lies. And that's the biggest scandal in Islam, because in the Bible, all the translations are true. They might use a different word, but that word is just a different form of another word. But they won't outright lie and they won't outright hide a word in the Bible. At least I'm not aware of that. But in the Quran, they actually hide the words. Like, for example, you've been asking about the word Farjaha. Which Quran translation gives you the accurate translation of that word? None of them. They don't dare come close to it. So how are you going to go and argue with these people, Hatun, when all the translations are false? Pick me one translation that is true.
So, when it comes to the translations, you do have some better translations, some worse translations, some are better than other ones. Um, but yes, there are dishonesty and unfaithfulness in the translation regarding the certain phrases. I do agree with that, and you do have same things like in the Bible as well, like different words are being used, which some of people might even say, oh, maybe that's not even what it's supposed to be mean. But we are not in, people are being faithful when it comes to the translation, and then you do have access to the words. When it comes to Islam, that is difficult. But the point, I don't know what is your engagement with Muslims or Muslim missionaries, but they since they do not even are very much aware of their Quran and not even very much aware of the translation. Therefore, it becomes a bit tricky to engage with them. That is the issue. They would simply discredit any translation to say that's Arabic, and it is in that sense it is simply sad. But let me ask you practical questions, sir. Why did you leave Islam? You
There's a
said you
whole
were
host of
ex-Muslim.
reasons. I mean, the biggest reason is that Islam is false. There's no bigger reason than that. Islam is false, and that's a good enough reason. And you don't have to look very far to see the holes in Islam. I'm not just talking about holes in the Quran, there's holes in Islam itself.
So,
Uh,
what? Give me a couple of examples which made you to think Islam is false.
well, how about the character of Muhammad? If you look at the character of Muhammad, I can't find a single good thing that I can pick from his biography that I can say, well, I'd like to follow that as a role model. There's absolutely nothing. And, this is my challenge to Muslims, that when they come and all the time they say that Muhammad is the biggest prophet, in which way? Show me in one way that he's a greater prophet than any of the previous prophets that are mentioned in the Quran. When you do a like for like comparison, it's, you're comparing a bicycle to a jet airplane, or not even that. You know what I mean? That's the big difference between the character of the biblical prophets, most of them. And, if you look at, say, Christ, he's sinless. Muhammad is not sinless. So how can they claim that he's greater? Even if you say that Jesus is a prophet, okay, just for 1 second, just imagine he's a prophet. Well, is your prophet Muhammad greater in that respect? He's not. None whatsoever. Forget about Jesus being divine, but even if you match him just as a prophet, then he comes out greater. So, the goal for me is to look at all the different holes in Islam, not just the hole in the Quran. Quran is one big hole, but there's other holes in Islam which they cannot, I mean, for example, look at Abbas. The poor guy doesn't speak a word of Arabic, yet he's there trying to defend Islam. He's from Pakistan. He doesn't speak a word of Arabic. So, or he's relying on translations, and all the translations are false. And so, how can he base his Islam on false translations? This is what I'm trying to get across to Muslims. Muslims, wake up. You're relying on false translations. You don't even know what it says. And key words are hidden. Like I was telling you, the Bible may use different words, but they don't deliberately hide a word. So the classic word that is hidden in the Quran is the word Farjaha when it's speaking about Mary. Why are they hiding that word? Why don't they give the true translation of that word? Why do they say it's a cloth or Mary's sleeve? This is absolutely false. There's no way that that word translates into anything other than, the private part. I mean, you can actually Google it. Even if you do a Google translation, it will come up with what that word actually means. It's as simple as that. You don't even need to go to any great tafsirs or scholars of Islam. Even if you do a Google search, it's there. It comes up, and it tells you exactly what that word means. So the Muslims are trying to hide it. The translators are trying to hide that word. Why? Isn't that a big hole in the Quran? Never mind about, ahruf and kirat and all these, technical things which they try to, put smoke in your eyes. But here's a word, if you're a true Muslim, translate it for me. Not a single Muslim will translate that. And that shows you that it's a pack of lies. Do you see what I mean? And that's how I'm dealing with the Muslims online. When I debate them, that's it. They leave the ground, they run away. And you've seen that. They run away. But even though you don't speak the Arabic, but what I'm saying is the false translations are, don't help you because they're all false. So even if you choose one, it's no better than the next one. If you use Yusuf Ali over Hilali and Khan, they're all hiding the true meaning of key Arabic words in the Quran. And it's all smoke and mirrors. So I would really suggest, and I've suggested to Christian Prince really, or somebody who's an Arabic-speaking Christian, or anybody who's Arabic-speaking, to actually do a faithful translation of the Quran. I think some people have done it and are beginning to do it, so that we can really be enlightened and see the truth that is within the Quran, and then say, aha, see, that's what it really says. And all this time you've been hiding it from us. I mean, look at Didat. He didn't speak a word of Arabic, and yet he's one of the biggest debaters of the Muslims. Zakir Naik, he doesn't speak a word of Arabic. He can't even speak his own mother tongue. He can't even speak his own mother tongue. He's from India, and he doesn't speak his own mother tongue. Yet he's there week in, week out, debating about the Arabic, which is far from his mother tongue. So this is what's going on, They play games, and you've been to be very careful and ask them, okay, give us a true, first of all, do a true translation of the Quran. You don't even have a single translation that is true. So how can we trust you to really debate with us? And at that point, the debate is over before it's even begun, because they don't even have a true translation of the Quran. Which translation did Muhammad Hijab use against David Wood? He debunked himself, and he's an Arabic speaker. When he was talking about, Allah prays for and not to and all that nonsense. I mean, he's an Arabic speaker, and he came with that nonsense, and he got caught out. Shame on him, and shame on these people who claim they're Arabic speakers, yet they trip over themselves, over the Arabic themselves. So, you can't trust them. You can't trust the translations. You can't trust them when they claim that they are Arabic speakers to do a faithful translation, just as we saw Muhammad Hijab against David Wood in that debate.
Yeah.
I'll hand over to you.
So let me just say thank you very much for calling in, brother.
No problem.
Just a quick side note. I can't remember the brother's surname, but Usama
Daktok.
Daktok. Yeah, he did
Yeah.
translate he did translate the Quran
Yeah,
as
he's
well. So
done one.
that's
Yeah,
like another source. Our brothers,
yeah,
beloved ones, can use it. Even
yeah,
Muslims can use it. But
yeah. I would
yes,
suggest
brother
that
is
you
making a
use
point
copies
that
like that. Yeah,
brother is making a point that in somehow translators of the Quran have been unfaithful, and there are lots of questions from Arabic speakers when it comes to the translation. And let me also say
yeah.
thank you very much for calling in, and thank you very much for being faithful and serving to our Reason Lord in different platforms.
Thank you.
God bless you,
All the
brother.
best.